Mic on.
Now, this is what makes me upset. Here they are. If anybody else got charged with murder, they wouldn't be taken out of jail. They wouldn't be out on bail. They'd be like $1 million bail, right? Or $500,000 bail. Now, this is what makes me upset. Here they are. If anybody else got charged with murder, they wouldn't be taken out of jail. They wouldn't be out on bail. They'd be like $1 million bail, right? Or $500,000 bail. Now, this is what makes me upset. Here they are.
This is our first look at Aaron Dean's mugshot. The former Fort Worth police officer has been charged with murder. Dean shot and killed Tatiana Jefferson in her own home while she was playing video games with her nephew. Bradley Blackburn is live in Fort Worth. Dean was booked a few hours ago. Is he still in jail?
Well, Chris, we're told he bonded out of jail less than an hour ago, though we didn't see him leave from any of the exits here at the Tarrant County facility. Bond had been set for Officer Aaron Dean at $200,000. We learned his name for the first time just this morning, and tonight we are seeing that mugshot. Former Fort Worth police officer Aaron Dean arrested and charged with murder.
At approximately 6 p.m., Aaron Dean was arrested for the murder of Miss Jefferson.
In jail just hours after he resigned from the department.
I think it was to show that.
Today, Fort Worth Police Chief Ed Krause said he planned to fire Dean, but he submitted his resignation before that could happen.
This will not be an opportunity for us to make excuses, but rather to investigate this case to the fullest.
The chief and the mayor offering their apology.
We are all heartbroken today
for Tatiana Jefferson's death.
There is nothing that could justify what happened on Saturday morning.
They promise it will lead to change, an outside agency to do a wide review of police tactics and procedures. There are questions about what Dean knew when he approached Jefferson's house, searching outside instead of knocking on the door. A neighbor had called for a welfare check, but officers were told by dispatch it was an open structure.
Bullshit.
An open structure call is something that you would typically park down the street and approach cautiously.
Officer Dean saw Jefferson in the window and pulled the trigger. A second after his verbal command.
Shots fired, Sergeant Supervisor.
Police also releasing the radio from that night.
Clear. Are you shooting or you hear shots? 325 shot. 325 shot.
Aaron Dean.
Dean had been with the department since early 2018. He's 35 years old, a UT Arlington graduate. Tonight, his family didn't answer the door at their Arlington home, but a neighbor said he knew him in passing.
It seemed just like he's normal, everyday dude. And that's why I was so shocked whenever I saw the photo.
An officer now charged with murder. Fort Worth police also apologized today for releasing an image of a gun found in Jefferson's home. The mayor said that weapon was irrelevant to this case. And one other note, an attorney for Jefferson's family said they are relieved with this murder charge, but they are calling on an entire department to change. Chris?
Thank you, Bradley. Tatiana's family called her Tay. They say she worked in human resources and graduated from Xavier University. Tonight, an eruption of outrage in Fort Worth after a police officer shot and killed a woman in her own home. What started as a candlelight vigil quickly turned into a protest with demonstrators marching through the streets. Now, this all started Saturday when officers responded to a man's call, worried there might be something wrong at his neighbor's home. But Tatiana Jefferson was just playing video games with her nephew.
And now they say they're going to change.
Fired at her.
They should have been changed a long time ago.
Now, let's start with Bradley Blackburn right
bullshit.
Outside the home. You heard from a passionate crowd tonight, but also police spoke for the first time today.
That's right, Chris. This has been emotional and it has been raw. This case is already drawing national attention, but it happened less than 48 hours ago inside the home behind me, where Tatiana Jefferson was inside when a Fort Worth police officer responded to that call, and she was shot and killed. Today, police told us that her 8-year-old nephew was in the room with her when the gun was fired, and the family returned to this house for the first time just a short time ago. Tonight, there was grief and outrage. Tatiana Jefferson's family coming back to the home where she was shot and killed by a Fort Worth police officer. The family's attorney, Lee Merritt.
Tatiana was the glue that held this family together. She was so in love with babysitting, caring for her mother, showing up and counseling her sisters, that when they lost her, they lost balance.
The members of the Fort Worth Police Department share your very real and valid concerns.
This afternoon, Fort Worth Police gave their first on-camera statement, confirming their officer never identified himself as police before he pulled the trigger.
Are they usually home at this time?
They're usually home, but they never had both of the front doors open.
Police also released the non-emergency call that brought them to Jefferson's home. The neighbor concerned lights were on, doors open, but making no claim of danger.
I mean, it's just not normal for them to have both the doors open this late that long.
Police say officers parked away from the home, and the body camera footage shows them searching around with flashlights, going in the backyard. Then the moment the officer spots Jefferson's figure in her own window.
Put your hands up! Show me your hands!
Slow it down, you can see her pull up the blinds. The officer pulls the trigger less than 2 seconds after his verbal commands.
The officer did not announce that he was a police officer prior to shooting. What the officer observed and why he did not announce police will be addressed as the investigation continues.
Police would not explain why their officer felt threatened, and they would not answer our question why they shared a picture of a gun found in Jefferson's home.
Fort Worth PD is not competent to investigate themselves criminally in this case.
And by the time we stop being angry, there is another body that the police have put in the ground.
Hundreds called for action.
We're working closely on this. It's a tragic situation.
Mayor Betsy Price came to the vigil to listen, but quickly left, surrounded by a frustrated crowd. Emotions
It should be an
high
outside
after
investigation.
another
They
life
shouldn't be investigating
lost.
themselves. Because as you
So
can see, when
many
they
mourning
showed
and
the
grieving
gun, they were
of
trying to
Tatiana
pin it on
Jefferson.
her
She
to make
was
it her
just
fault,
28 years
which
old,
it
a
wasn't.
college graduate who was taking care of
These cops
family
are full of
members
shit.
in this house. Now, you heard
And
her
it's
attorney
sad.
say that Fort Worth Police is not qualified to investigate. Well, the city says that it is the department's plan to do their own investigation into this incident. Tomorrow, the officer involved, who has not yet been named, will speak to the Major Case and Internal Affairs Unit. And we are also expecting to hear from Police Chief Ed Kraus, a press conference scheduled tomorrow where they promise to answer more questions. So many in this community want those questions answered, need those questions answered. What started here tonight as a vigil at times turned into a protest, and my colleague Alex Rozier has more on that part of the story.
Yeah, Bradley, this protest just wrapped up within the hour, one that started right here at the intersection of Allen and Mississippi Avenue. They took off down Allen Street, and there were hundreds of marchers, and they headed in the direction of 35W. I want to show you some of that video right now. This is video we just shot within the last couple of hours here in Fort Worth. A group of a crowd that's very passionate. They say that this week they will be keeping the heat on the city of Fort Worth as this investigation is getting underway. They promised me that they'll be at the city council meeting on Tuesday. They've got plans tomorrow night as well that are still being developed. We spoke with a couple of the people involved just a few minutes ago.
It's almost like a sword. You know what I'm saying? Once it starts to heal, then somehow or another you're playing too much and you peel the scab off again. Then once again the bleeding starts. And it seems as if we never get a chance for that sword to heal.
We have lost our minds, and we as people, when we can't more or less value life.
And as you're looking right now, you see those Fort Worth police officers. They were staged at 35W. Those marchers actually made their way to 35. They were blocked by the Fort Worth Police Department, who has a very heavy presence out here tonight. But let's bring you back out here at Allen and Mississippi Avenue. This the place where tonight's protest started. But as we've seen and as we've heard from so many people, this just the beginning of several events planned this week. Reporting live tonight, I'm Alex Rozier.
All right, Alex, and as the community clashes with Fort Worth PD, its former leader says current leadership needs to act now. Former Chief Joel Fitzgerald was forced out of the department, and now he's pushing for immediate and mandatory recertification for all officers in Fort Worth in de-escalation, procedural justice, and implicit bias training. Fitzgerald's attorney also demanded he be reinstated to his former position as chief, going as far to say, Tatiana would still be alive today if Fitzgerald was still in charge. Tatiana was pre-med at Xavier University.
They should already be
Louisiana
trained in
and graduated
de-escalation.
5 years ago
This
with
is
a
such
bachelor's
bullshit. They're
degree
trying
in
to cover their
biology.
butts now.
Tonight, the president of Xavier
Somebody had to
University
die
said there
for
is
them to
clearly
do
an urgent
de-escalation.
need to fix a law enforcement
bullshit.
system and philosophy that is broken. And that's the same message we heard this morning from a pastor in Fort Worth.
You can't sit up here and act like it doesn't apply to you. Because you know what? Anybody could be next. It's not that kind of deal. Anybody could be next. Anybody could be next. And so I'm standing here to tell you, I'm done.
Now, people have set up a GoFundMe for Tatiana's family, and it's already raised more than $112,000. If you want to see more, head to WFAA.com. We have the full video from the officer's body camera and that neighbor's phone call where he was asking for a wellness check. As Bradley mentioned, we'll learn a lot more over the next few days, so be sure to download the WFAA app for immediate updates.
See, this is what gets me upset. They say that they have to do de-escalation now because she was murdered by a police officer. They should have been done de-escalation a long time ago. And then they show a picture of a gun and try to cover their asses, and it backfires on them. So now they're all upset. The cops are worried, and they really feel for the family. Meanwhile, they release images of a gun in her apartment, in her house, as if it's bullshit. It's just all bullshit. This really pisses me off.